I'd been working as a volunteer training disadvantaged people in Chiang Mai in kitchen and restaurant skills. 2 of the students were from Shan State and politically motivated to go back to their country and make a difference. They were brother and sister, in the real way, not just Burmese terminology where everyone is a brother or sister. The boy was a journalist and had remarkable English skills, and the girl worked part-time for SWAN, the Shan Women's Action Network. They really wanted to fight for their cause and soon opted to work full-time for various NGOs. I bumped into the girl sometime later, and she updated me that both were now working in a border town called Mae Sot. A few months later, I was driving down to Bangkok and saw the sign to Mae Sot, and having recently read about this Wild West town of drugs, rubies and guns, I hung a right and followed the wriggling mountain road down to the town. Many police checkpoints later, I arrived. It really was the Wild West. I ended up staying there for a couple of weeks, visiting the old Maytao clinic, 2 refugee camps, and chatting with political prisoners who'd spent years in the notorious insane prison. I encountered for the first time in my life real life poverty and deprivation, and witnessed the direct results of a cruel military junta. Also witnessing the bizarreness of not just homelessness, but statelessness on planet Earth. People born 20 years ago inside refugee camps on the border, never been to Myanmar, and living in a camp as a stateless person, a non-existent human being. Being moved enough to make me do something, I returned many times to Mae Sot, building fresh water supplies in schools, toilets, and assisting in food program distribution. It was this life-changing experience that was the catalyst to make me start OCAT, one chef at a time. Many of you will have known Pern's restaurant on Hue Keo Road. We lasted 12 years until COVID got us. But prior to COVID, we'd been training mainly Burmese young adults who had little or limited education and were interested in cooking or the service industry. Some of our students had checkered pasts, abusive family, living in fear, not knowing if you or members of your family would be taken without warning, and not knowing when, or indeed if, they would ever return. Having seen the poverty and witnessed so much about the mistreatment of people who had to leave their homes and families, I believe this really was the beginning of the One Chef at a Time project. Student 1. His name's Boy. Every April we would close the restaurant. I remember one boy sitting at the bar when we were about to reopen after the restaurant had closed for the Thai New Year. I didn't know who he was. In fact, I thought he was part of the draft beer brigade come to clean the beer pipes. Anyway, at 5 p.m. I called a staff meeting. We had new menu items to train and how to serve them. The boy was still sitting at the bar. I asked if anybody knew who he was, and one member of staff said, "Yeah, he's my friend." I told her it was a private staff meeting, to which she said, "Oh, well, he wants to work." This is just after the Thai New Year, low season for the next 6 months, hardly a time to take on new staff. I asked if he spoke English, and his friend said, "Yep, little bit." So I went over to him and asked his age. He told me he was 24. I said, "Do you have any experience?" He said, "Yes, I do." I said, "Oh, good. Where did you work?" He said, "I cooked in the temple at Mae Hon Song." "And when did you start there?" He said he was 9 years old. "And when did you finish working there?" He said, "Yesterday." Well, how could I refuse? He told me he didn't want money, he just wanted enough food to stop his stomach from rumbling. He stayed with us for 8 years, and we did pay him. A great chef, a wonderful team member and a great friend, and I'm happy to say that he's fully employed in a wonderful luxury hotel in Chiang Mai and thoroughly enjoying his life. Student 2, his name is Takwal. More recently, a young Myanmar man from Chin State, bordering India, had fled his village after witnessing killings by the military. He was lucky and found his way to Chiang Mai and landed a washing-up job in a restaurant kitchen, 8,000 baht a month. He heard about our course and applied. We took him on, and it quickly became obvious to me that this young man will become a very good chef. He was so keen to learn. At the end of the course, he was offered a position at a top-end restaurant run by a Michelin star trained chef. He stayed working there for 1 year and then moved to another Michelin-recommended restaurant to learn advanced Thai cookery. After 6 months, he called me asking me to help him find a different position, as he felt he'd learned all there was to learn at his current employ. I helped him find a position, and he's working happily as a senior chef in a brigade of 10, earning enough money to support his family and pay for his upcoming wedding. Life-changing. Student 3, no name for this guy. We met this guy at the camp in Mae Sot, refugee camp. After a beer and a game of pool, he asked if he could work with me in Chiang Mai. After completing the legal requirements, he arrived in Chiang Mai. I won't drag this out, but suffice to say, since then, he held a sous chef's position in a kitchen of 9 in a Mercedes-Benz outlet in Yangon until the military wrecked everything again and Mercedes exited Myanmar. He returned to his family until the military came looking for him. He was quite the activist. He ran and managed to re-enter the kingdom with his passport, and I'm delighted to say that he is now working at the Fullerton Hotel in Singapore as chef de partie. He called to say thank you for helping him and his family. Student 4. Karen Hill tribe from a poor background and was sheltered by a foundation in Chiang Mai since she was a young girl. She attended the course and showed promise. We found an employer, but the restaurant was out of town. This meant finding a room to rent and starting her new life in an area where she doesn't know anybody. This might not sound like a big deal. However, having lived in a dormitory for most of her life, there is another hurdle to jump: loneliness. Family hundreds of miles away, living alone, first time renting accommodation, and starting a new job. Scary. However, her resilience and determination overcame her fears. I'm again pleased to say that 1 year on, she's still working at the same restaurant and enjoying life and supporting her family. Student 5. Our 5th student spent 2 weeks walking in a group of 13. Her family wanted to help her by sending her with this group to Thailand in the hopes of finding a safer life. Can you imagine having to make a decision to send your teenage daughter away hoping she had a better chance of staying alive, a better chance of survival? And imagine how a 15-year-old would be feeling being told to leave her family without knowing if she will ever see them again. She was 15 years old. She was shot at by the Burmese military. As she told me, there were people trying to hurt us. It was a long, arduous journey. Arriving at Mae Song border, the group were allowed to stay in a temple. There are ways of transporting refugees to Chiang Mai, and with help, allowing them to stay legally. She worked as a nanny. She helped to clean houses, but the boss was not a kind employer. After 3 years, she saw a sign outside my restaurant for a cleaner. She applied. When the restaurant was quiet, she would clean and clean. When it was busy, I noticed her getting stuck in the kitchen, helping the chefs. Well, one day we had a special event and needed to make some bread rolls, croissants, large chocolate chip cookies, lots of different bits. The chefs were busy, so I started to teach her the basics of yeast-based bakery. She was a natural. She'd found her niche, and boy was she good at it. She stayed with us for 9 years and is still baking bread locally. Married with a 5-year-old son, her life has been transformed by one simple opportunity to improve her life. There are many others, some with terrible horror stories of experiences that they've endured. And when we're teaching these students, I do wonder how they keep smiling, focus, concentrate on homework, play, and remember stuff that we've taught them. It's just simply amazing the endurance and resilience of these young adults. Just thinking back for a minute, those Mae Sot days, and completely as a side, the Thai Red Cross and the Thai military should be commended for their part in assisting refugees at the border. Not an easy job. They achieve remarkable results. In Mae Sot a few years back, over 20,000 Burmese crossed the Moi River into Thailand. RPGs being lobbed inside Thailand by the Burmese military, shooting just the other end of the Friendship Bridge connecting the two countries. Within hours there was a camp set up with drinking water, medical supplies, doctors at hand, food and an area for washing. An amazing feat in such a short period of time. The 2 newborns arrived during that stay. Our mission statement is really quite simple. Our mission is to provide a bridge for basic and advanced culinary training for marginalised people who have little or no hope in their current situation and provide them with a long-term future and access to long-term employment. After completion of the course, we help the students into full-time employment. We have a very good relationship with local restaurants and the hotel industry in Chiang Mai, and as such our students are in demand. We only send our graduates to safe and caring employers who treat their staff with respect. We don't disclose the students' background to potential employers. We monitor their progress and they keep in touch with us. Some have asked to come and help with training on their days off. Others who've risen through the ranks need kitchen management training, food costing, menu planning, stock control, break-even analysis, profit and loss accounting, and so on, the management side of catering. They come back and work with us again to improve their chance of senior positions and higher salaries. Out of all the students that we've trained, only one hasn't continued his chosen career of becoming a fully fledged chef. Unfortunately, we can't really argue with his new employer. He was chosen to join the Thai army under the conscription rules. The United Nations state, vocational training is often offered by non-governmental organizations, educational institutions, charitable organizations, religious groups, or government partners, or a combination thereof. Vocational training is an important element to include in reintegration plans as a means of ensuring the sustainable social integration of victims by increasing their employment prospects, confidence, and life skills. We're delighted to tell you that we're building a new training centre. Stage 1 is a well-equipped kitchen, storeroom, and an air-conditioned, well-equipped bakery. Stage 2 will be an adjoining restaurant, meeting room, and toilets. The kitchen is about 2/3 complete. Your continued support is crucial in bringing this project to fruition, and we're grateful for every contribution that helps us create a brighter future for our community. Together we're building more than just a building. We're laying the foundation for a future for those who didn't really get a chance. It's your kindness that's helped us on this journey. We work with NGOs and foundations. The last 5 students to graduate were from Skills for Life Foundation. Collaborations and partnerships are important and help towards success. We are currently talking with Chiang Mai University, working on a collaborative experiment whereby our students can get involved with CMU to gain work experience. Although we're not there yet, accreditation of the certification of our course is a goal. With many organisations such as this one, we can form links to help each other, widen the network of friends and supporters, and grow to accommodate the need for training.